Good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Districts, and my name is Susanna and I live with trains. Now today is going to be a short and sweet video today, because today it's going to be a really useful video for many, and it crosses, it doesn't matter what era you do, it doesn't matter what gauge you do, it will apply to all of you, and essentially it's all about making your own bushes and foliage on the cheap. Now, the reason that I'm doing this video is, at the moment, I'm not working at the moment because I've got a dodgy shoulder. And it's caused me quite a lot of pain, and it's just given me a load of grief, and it's more hassle than it's worth, to be honest. But this is this is one of those little videos that I could do that's really nice and easy and light, and I could show you at the same time, and it will benefit many. And like I said, I went to my local model shop and took a stroll down there, and I was looking at getting some foliage just to stick on the layout. And the prices are just absolutely horrific at the moment for Woodland Scenics prices, because a bag of bushes and foliage can go, it's just like, I think it's £8 onwards. I saw bags for £11, and I think you get even bigger bags, it's closer to 20. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. I just find it so expensive for what it is. And I just thought there's got to be a cheaper way of doing things. And so when I was looking online, I come across a video that I thought was absolutely brilliant, absolutely amazing. And I thought I'd share that video with you through doing what I'm doing. So I can't completely take the credit for this. But what I will say is that there is some extra information in this video that wasn't said to me on the other video, which I found really useful. So I'll turn around and tell you how to explain that to you. And all you need is some really basic items. And in fact, some of this stuff you'll just have lying around the house. And even if you do need to buy this item, you can get them relatively cheaply, although you can get expensive versions. So the first thing you're going to need, and I got this off of Amazon, is a coffee grinder. I only got this yesterday, and it cost me less than a bag of Woodland Scenics bushes. So this cost me £9.99, and it's a Cabolo. Never heard of this, but the video just said get the cheapest coffee grinder that you can get. So, you know, it doesn't have to be an expensive one. And obviously you can get various versions of coffee grinders, and some are very, very expensive, others are very cheap. Now, for modelling purposes, all you need is this cheap coffee grinder. The other thing you're going to need is these essential sponges. Well, just cheap sponges. I just happen to get these from Waitrose, because that's my local supermarket. And then the other thing that you might have knocking about is that this is an old sort of butter tin and a plastic fork, which I get, you sometimes get these from like kebab shops and stuff like that. And I'll explain to you how you go about doing that and how you go about using it. And you'll also need some paint. And so let me just show you that. So I actually bought two little vials, I guess, I think that's what they call them, of Vallejo paint, because I love using Vallejo paint. This is acrylic paint. So don't ask me about oil paints, because I really don't know whether enamel paints are going to be any good, because I don't know if that's going to work, but these are acrylic. And I bought two of them, and this is the first one is 70833, and it is German, I think, well, it just says bright green, I think German cam, bright green. It must be German camouflage, maybe, bright green. But anyway, that's the first one. Now that's the one that you're going to see me use. This one I haven't even opened, and I'll explain that to you why. Now, originally I bought two because I just thought I'd want a different variation in the colours. And this second one is 70, I believe it's 857, and it's golden olive. I liked it because when I saw the colours, these two were sitting side by side in the rack, and the actual colour palette underneath showed that they really went well together. So I thought I'd get one of each, and that's what you're going to need. Now that these cost $2.75 from where I got it from. And then this is £1. I paid £1.20 for this from Waitrose. This is just, I finished my butter, so you know, I just kept the pot, and this is just like an odd plastic. So it's literally next to nothing. The only initial outlay you'll have is for the coffee grinder. But once you've bought the coffee grinder, that's it. You know, you can make as much foliage as you want. It's not one of those that you can only use it one time thing and then you dispose of it. So it doesn't work like that. And then what you'll end up with is, I'm going to show you what you'll end up with. You'll end up with something like this. And as you can see, there are 4 different versions of it. Now I'm going to mess around with this one because this one needs to be darkened off a bit. But this is all from one colour, believe it or not. And I'll explain that to you, how you go about doing that. And this is something that wasn't explained in the video, but I just found out by a happy accident. So that's what you're going to end up with. So if you fancy doing something like this, and all of this has come from, I think 1.5 sponges or something like that, you know, and a little bit of paint, and all of a sudden you've got your own foliage that you can put all the way around the layout, and you're not paying Wooden Sinks prices, and you're also not paying £7 for one colour and then buying another bag for another £7 and then buying another bag for another £7 or whatever it is. You just do it all from one sponge, or 2 sponges, or 3 sponges, but it still costs you a lot less than going to your local model shop. So the first thing you do is you take your sponge, pack of sponges, and what you need to do is separate it, and you just pull it apart quite, it comes, so you've ended up like this. So you've got 2 parts, so you take the green bit off, and then if I just actually put a spin you right down there, that's it, that's probably better that I do that. So you've just separated that, and then you just do that. Now you just take this pot that you want, and you start pulling chunks off of this until you sort of get to a point where and you can also cut it as well. There you go. And it looks all quite chunky at the moment, but don't worry. Right, so then what you do is, actually, it doesn't matter actually, you don't have to put it in there just yet, is you take a load of it. Now what I tend to do is, bear with me a minute, I've got this kind of tray, and I put the grinder in the tray, because what happens is, generally speaking, once you've ground this out and you empty this out, you get all these bits that will just fall out everywhere if you're not careful. So it's just good to have like a tray or a bowl or something, so any excess that falls can just fall within the tray. And then all you do is you just put a load of this sponge in there, and you just simply, oh hang on a minute, I don't think I've switched it on. There you go, right, that's it, switched it on now. And then you'll have a load of chunky pieces, like so. And then you put the rest in, and the same again. And then again, you've just had a load just ended up grinding this up. So then the next thing you do is you essentially just put it all back in there. Right, so we've now got a load of sponge that's been sort of diced up, or whatever you want to call it. Now this is the one I was using, so we'll just use that. Then you just squeeze it in. There isn't much left in this because I did actually use the majority of this yesterday. But we'll see, that will probably be enough. But we can always add more. So I've already finished that already. Didn't last long, but for £2.75. And then you just take your fork, and you just, or your plastic utensil or whatever, you just try and mix it in a bit. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just mix it in a bit. I'm just going to put a little bit more in, but this time I'll use the other colour. Now in fact actually we won't, because I'll show you how it actually comes, because this actually doesn't look like it's properly mixed or anything. So let's just put it in as it is, and then you'll see the results for yourself. So it does get a bit messy, but if you like messy jobs, then that's fine. You'll enjoy this. As you can see, there's green all over my fingers. Now, look at that. Look how green that is already. Now, we didn't even mix that in properly, but you can see already how that comes out. And then what you do, you should just let this all dry. And you can see just how, and like I said, you can use as much or as little as you want. You can use whatever greens you like. Like I said, you can see that I didn't particularly mix it that great. I just put it roughly in there and just ground it up. Shove it all in there. Right, let's try that again so you can see. Put it in there. You can see the colours mixed all the way through. And look at that. Now, if you don't clean this up, I think you can probably see actually that there's actually slightly two shades of it. This one's slightly lighter than that one. I think the green got mixed in slightly better on this one than that one. But just by using one, you can actually see it actually, that this side is lighter than that one. And this is all by using one colour. And that's what all of those ones that I showed you earlier, it was just one colour. And the more you mix it, and you just use the residue paint, it just gets lighter and lighter. and eventually it'll actually clean the inside of this. So all this residue that you've got in here, that if you put in another sponge in there, that will take away all that greenery, but it will become lighter. So you'll have different shades of green just by using one paint. So you can see I didn't even use that one, and you see how green it came. And so you can mix it for as long or as little as you want, and you can have the chunks as small or as large as you want. But you can just see, just from taking a simple sponge and a cheap coffee grinder, you can make your own foliage. So as you can see, this is the one that we've just mixed in, and these are the ones I did earlier. But this is all from the one pot, that one green that I used. So I guess, I mean, I don't think there's any right or wrong way or any particular green you've got to use. But what I probably would say is if you pick a darker green to start with, then you'd end up with something like that, which I think is really nice. And then as you blend it through without adding much more paint, it will gradually get lighter and lighter as you clean up the paint residue that's in the grinder. And that's what I was doing. The second time around that I did it, I just put the sponge as it is into the grinder without adding any paint at all. And then to my surprise, it came out this colour. And I just carried on lighting it and lighting it and lighting it. And you get to sort of like this kind of thing. But this, I think, is just too yellow. So I will probably redo this and add a little bit more mixture in it to give it a slightly darker coat. But you can see your shades that you get. Now you put that on the layout, and you can imagine just these 3 shades alone, that if you were to kind of buy Woodland Scenics bags, you know, you'd be paying 7 or 8 quid for a bag of this colour, another 7 or 8 quid for this colour, and another 7 or 8 quid for this colour. Whereas if you buy the grinder, it cost me £10, and then that's now an investment that you can use. And if you decide to build other layouts later on, you know, or change your layouts or redo your layout or whatever, you've already made that investment. So that's already there, ready to be used, rather than having to go to the model shop and spending more money on new scenery. So just before I go, what I'll do is a little bit of a testing just to show you. I'm going to just drop you down again. And you can see that there's residue in there. And I'm going to show you what I mean by redoing it. I did say a little while ago that I think this was a bit too yellow still. So I'm not adding any paint or anything to this. I'm going to make it a little bit more darker. And you'll see what I mean. So like I said, I'm not adding any paint to this at all. This is the same one as I had over there. So I'm not adding any additional paint. Just gonna see if we can take and clean up the residue that's in the coffee grinder and see whether or not we can darken this green up. Now what we have done, it is darker, not a huge amount darker, but it is darker. But we've made it into, it's a lot finer. So again, this would be like coarse turf, fine turf. You can do whatever. Now, as you can see, you might not be able to see, but it's actually, you can see it's worked because it is actually a little bit cleaner. And the more you go with that, the more it will clean it. So then you end up now, well, the proof is in the pudding, I guess. As you can see, that's what we've just done. I'll go and get the other one, which was exactly the same as this, and we can see the difference in the colour. So bear with me a minute. So I think quite categorically you can see that the residue has taken shape, because clearly you can see that this one here was essentially, this one was like this one, as you saw before. And just by taking the residue, you've actually made this slightly darker than that one, and you've made it slightly finer, and you've given it a slightly different tinge of green. So you can, so like I said, as you take the residue off, you can create different shades. And I haven't, like you said, like you've seen, I haven't actually added any paint to this at all on this one. But yeah, I've made it darker because it's just taken the residue out of the grinder. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video today, and I hope you found it all useful. And by all means, have a go. And you know, it's all about experimenting, having fun, and it doesn't matter what greens you use or what colours you use. You can just experiment it, and at the end of the day, if the colours go wrong, it's only a sponge. You know, that's, so, you know, it's the cost of a sponge. So, you know, you can always sort of play around with the colours you like and see what suits your layout and what you think fits around your layout. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. My name's Susanna, and I live with trains. So, bye-bye, and until the next time.